and welcome back to my channel. So I thought with October now finally here and autumn being here, not that that really has anything to do with this video, but something does have to do with this video that happened very recently, and that is student loan dropped. Woo! The best moment of any university student's life is that week at the start of every term where you get your loan. It's like, oh, I can afford to buy food, I can afford to pay rent, I can afford to go shopping. And with that in mind, I hesitate to say brilliant when discussing my own ideas, but I had a really helpful, I thought, idea for a YouTube video, which is, I know that dressing vintage can get expensive very, very quickly. When I am going and creating lookbooks and then I go through and I price up all of the outfits, I suddenly cringe a little bit inside when I realise how expensive a lot of the things I wear would be to buy in a complete outfit. And I think that's one of the things that can be so intimidating about getting into vintage fashion, the 1940s, 50s style, or if you're into 20s or 30s, just any unique kind of vintage inspired style can be a bit financially difficult to get into sometimes. So I thought I would create this video, which is getting the vintage look on a student budget, which is basically all of my best tips on how to get a pretty authentic vintage inspired look. I'm going to be specifically focusing on the 1940s and 50s because that is the style that I wear, but I'm sure there are other articles and videos if you are into more of a 1920s or 30s or 60s style. So I'm going to be focusing on that, but just some of my best tips on how to reduce the cost of getting a vintage look. Because this dress, for example, is Vivien of Holloway, which is one of the most expensive vintage brands I know of. And I understand that a lot of the clothes I wear are quite expensive and that I am very lucky. So let's go. My first tip sounds very obvious, but sales. Sales are a godsend when it comes to buying vintage reproduction clothes, which is, in case you don't know, the only kind of vintage clothes that I wear. So when it comes to vintage, just a quick summary, you have true vintage, which is pieces that were actually made and worn in a previous era, and you have reproduction vintage, which are modern clothing companies that create vintage inspired clothes. So for example, this is a vintage reproduction dress. Now, these websites, because the clothing can be quite fiddly and it is so well made, they get expensive very, very quickly. The best thing that I can say to do is to keep your ear to the ground, get onto all of the mailing lists for the clothing sites that you admire, and keep your ear out for sales, particularly sample sales. Collective, who are one of my favourite vintage brands, had a sample sale last academic year in, I think it was May or June, and oh my god, eagle, oh my god, that's so cool, oh my god, no way, such a pretty bird. Sorry, what was I saying? Oh my god. Collective, they had a sample sale where basically they sell clothes at a fraction of the price. Okay, I got a dress, a beautiful, beautiful swing dress that should have been £65 for 20. Like, those are the kind of markdowns that you can get on sample sales. So I would definitely keep your ear to the ground, try and find as many sales as you can. The great thing about shops is that a lot of them don't do their sales at the same time, so you can pick off lots of your favourites And also there are wonderful cheaper clothing brands if you're trying to build your wardrobe up. So for example, Lindy Bop is one of my favourites and it's much more affordable. And I'm going to turn my phone notifications off now so it doesn't keep going off in the middle of the video. So other than sales, another great thing that you can do to find vintage inspired pieces, or possibly even true vintage pieces, is charity shop surfing. Honestly, charity shops. I know some people have a bit of a weird thing about they don't like going into charity shops, but honestly, if you even just think about the amount of things that, for example, the amount of clothing items that I've donated to charity shops, they're really great havens for some really amazing pieces. I was in a charity shop the other day and I got this amazing true leather jacket that looked so 1940s, and it was £10. I can't even comprehend how it happened, and it fits me perfectly, and I'm really excited to get to wear it more in the autumn. And charity shops are full of golden little finds like that. They're just amazing. So go shopping in charity shops is my second tip. And for my third, modern clothing stores. Sometimes you can find pieces that do truly look like they are 1940s or 50s. For example, longer A-line midi skirts can very easily pass for 40s. You can get sort of boat neck or bardo tops that will go really pretty with more vintage looking trousers or skirts. So getting foundation pieces from modern clothing stores, you can really easily create quite an authentic look. For example, one of my favourite pairs of black capris, these are so Audrey Hepburn or Marilyn, and they are from a shop called Roman, which is a modern clothing store. So comfy, and crop capri things are very grease, very 50s, very flattering and gorgeous. So modern clothing stores have a lot of things. If you rummage through, pick and choose, and you can find and put together some really great outfits. So my fifth tip is to use the opportunity where presents are an option. What I mean by this is when your family say, what do you want for your birthday and what do you want for Christmas? Ask for vouchers for your favourite sites, ask for maybe them to band together on a more expensive vintage clothing item that you really want. For example, I know the collective pearl coat is going to be on my Christmas list for this year because it's incredible, but it's £200, so I'm going to be like, can like 18 of you get together and all throw some money to this coat, please, thank you. But yeah, use the opportunity when people are kind enough to offer to buy you something and they ask you what you want. Ask for vouchers, send them a wish list. A lot of clothing sites let you make wish lists, send them over to you. It's great because most of the time you can put in the size that you need, or you can just say like sizes are blah blah. Yeah, use presents. Presents are wonderful, and presents are a really great way to let others help you on your vintage journey. My sixth? Oh god, I've lost count. I think it was sixth. My sixth tip on building a vintage wardrobe on a student or lower budget is to get lots of pieces that all work very well together. Try not to get very quirky, like have all very quirky eccentric pieces. The great thing about vintage style is that it is very classic. So for example, a couple of different colours of pencil or poodle skirts, some simple tops, and then some capris and a pair of trousers can all mix and match together in so many different ways and create a really gorgeous look. And it's a lot easier than like trying to buy 40 different clothing items. Just try and buy like 5 or 6 clothing items, build them up over time, and you will end up building your wardrobe very consistently and in a way that makes it very easy to mix and match everything together. Because to me that's the most important thing, is I want all of my clothing items to all go very well together. especially if I'm colour coordinating, which is quite important. One of my biggest tips for creating a vintage look on a student budget, especially if you're relying more on modern clothing stores to kind of cheat and fake vintage, as I know a lot of people do, which is such a good way to do it, is accessorizing. Do not hold back on those little finishing touches, like things like for me it's my pearls and red lipstick, and hair is such an easy way to take an outfit from like a 4 to a 10 in terms of how vintage it appears. And you know, hair can be done so cheaply. Setting lotion, I think the setting lotion I get is about £5 or £6, and it's diluted with water so it lasts forever. And if you don't want to buy foam rollers even, you can do pin curls and you still get such an amazing vintage look, and it comes out so beautiful. So things like seamed stockings or seamed tights if you're wearing skirts, and vintage looking jewellery, and coordinated lipstick and nails, and vintage hair can take you to a more authentic looking level of vintage if that's what you want, and you can't quite afford to get the very authentic looking clothes because for some reason they make them very expensive. So that is one of my biggest tips, and who it just appreciates, even just mainly because my hair is going to have to be washed. I should have washed it yesterday, but I didn't have time, so I just curled it again, but it came out very pretty. So, I do believe that those are some of my main tips. So, hunt around for bargains, charity shops are your best friend, take advantage of all of the sales and gift coupons and things that you can possibly ever find. Use modern clothing stores to cheat vintage looks, and don't be afraid of a little hairstyling. So I think the most important thing is that I think vintage sometimes can seem very intimidating. I look so short because I'm slouching. Use your posture, woman. I think vintage sometimes can be so intimidating because people can make it seem like it has to be very strict. So you have to strive for complete authenticity or you can't do it at all. And I really wanted to let you know that that's not the case at all. Vintage style is whatever you want it to be. Whatever level of vintage you would like to try and achieve with your look, whether you want to look completely 100% authentically vintage, or whether you just want a vintage twist, or whether you're going to mix different eras together, all of it is fine and all of it is wonderful and all of it reflects who you are inside and makes you happy, and that's all your style should ever do. So don't let anyone pressure you, and if people around you don't like it and they think it's weird, who cares? Like, as long as you like it, then that's all that matters. So be true to who you are inside. And that is all the advice I have for you today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget that you can follow me on Instagram at @AveryVintageDarling, and you can follow me on Twitter at @TheVintageDarling. And I will leave all of the links of things in the description. And I love you all, and I'll see you in my next video. Au revoir! There's something wild about you, child, that's so contagious. Let's be outrageous. Let's misbehave. Let's be outrageous. Let's misbehave. They're shaking on the dance floor. They're shuffling on the street. Oh, come on, it's the music man, killing me with that beat. Oh, the sun went down this morning and the moon came out in style. Well, come on, Mr. Music Man, you're killing me with that smile. Oh, I could dance the night away.